This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further as you can use the promo code MTGMUDSTA to get you 5% off anything on the site. Or if you're in Canada like me, you can use the same promo code at Multizone to get 10% off your orders of singles. If cards aren't what you're looking for, Original Magic Art has playmats, tokens, and sweet art that you can use that same promo code to help you get 5% off your order there. If you're looking to bling out your cards, using Alter Sleeves is a great way to do so, and you can click the affiliate link in my About section to help out the channel as you make an order. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, I just want to bring to your attention that Johannes, Voss, and Original Magic Art are teaming up. This will be the first time that some of his beautiful art for cards like Gift of Orzhova, the Dog Plains, the Kaldheim Island, Prismatic Bridge, and Carpet of Flowers are available on playmats. The Kickstarter is running from September 13th until October 13th, and you can help support it and my channel at the same time by using the affiliate link below. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game is in the Multizone matchup, with some new friends and some old commanders. After hearing a lot of people asking for it, I am playing my Krenko deck, keeping Castle Embereth, Myriad Landscape, Snow-Covered Mountain, Thousand Year Elixir, Muxus, Buried Ruin, and Goblin Bushwhacker. New to EDH as well as the channel, Alex is playing his Kestia deck, keeping 2 Plains, Forest, Estrid's Invocation, Bruna, Righteous Authority, and Selesnya Sanctuary. Kevin has built Kardur Doomscourge, keeping a Vandal Blast, Temple of Malice, Emergence Zone, Flame Crash Rider, Sulphurous Vortex, Wayfarer's Bauble, and Varchild's War Rider. Also new to the channel is David, playing Sigarda, keeping Shalai, Blackblade Reforged, Explosive Vegetation, Plains, and 2 Forests. I win the die roll and start us off. I play a Snow-Covered Mountain, tapping it for 1 red for the recently drawn Goblin Lackey. Alex just plays a tap Tranquil Expanse. Kevin plays a tap Temple of Malice, scrying 1. David just plays a Plains. I play out a tap Myriad Landscape and go at Kevin. The Lackey deals 1 and lets me put out a Goblin, which in this case is Muxus. I reveal my top 6, keeping the Goblin Ringleader, which I then resolve its Enter the Battlefield trigger after I finish shuffling the others on the bottom in a random order. I unfortunately whiff on the Ringleader trigger though, and have to pass to Alex. Alex plays a Plains and passes. Kevin drops an Emergence Zone, tapping 2 for Varchild's War Rider. David just plays a Forest. I play Castle Embereth, which comes in untapped because I control a mountain, and I swing the Ringleader at David, the Lackey at Alex, and Muxus at Kevin. Alex takes 1, while Kevin takes 6 from Muxus, getting pumped from being around other goblins, and David takes 2. Unfortunately I have nothing to cheat out though, and I pass to Alex. Alex draws, and I crack the Myriad Landscape, going to find 2 Snow-Covered Mountains. Alex then just plays a Forest in his main phase, and passes. Kevin's upkeep has his War Rider giving Alex a token for the cumulative upkeep cost, and he draws for turn. He plays out at Wayfarer's Bauble, and then ships it to David. David plays a Forest for turn, and passes. I play Buried Ruin, and tap 3 for Thousand Year Elixir. I then cast Krenko's command to make 2 Goblin tokens, and go to combat. Apparently my brain isn't working super well at that point, because I get the Elixir and Fervor confused, swinging the Lackey and 2 tokens at David, while Muxus goes at Alex. Alex blocks Muxus with a token, while David unfortunately takes 3 when it should have been 1. I still don't have a Goblin for the Lackey trigger though, and I pass to Alex. Alex plays a Plains for turn, and taps 4 mana to cast Dawn's Reflection, putting it onto one of his lands to help him ramp. Kevin gives David the tokens this time around after adding another cumulative upkeep counter to his War Riders. He plays a tap Valakut Stoneforge as his land for turn, and then uses Vandal Blast to blow up my Elixir. David plays a Forest and gets in the game finally, casting Explosive Vegetation to go and find 2 tap basics. He then passes, going to find the lands. In my main phase, I cast Dragon Fodder, making 2 tokens and moving to combat. Muxus goes back at Kevin while 2 tokens go at Alex. This has Kevin taking 10, while Alex takes 2, and I pass turn. Alex taps enough in his main phase to bring out Kestia, thanks in part to his Dawn's Reflection. He then plays out a Selesnya Sanctuary, bouncing a tap basic land back to hand, and passes. Kevin adds another counter to his War Rider, giving Alex 3 tokens this time around. He then draws and plays Agadim the Undercrypt, which he has come in untapped by losing 3 life. He then has enough mana to bring out Kardur Doomscourge, which essentially goads all of his opponents, despite not having that actual keyword. He then passes to David. David has a homeward path coming in, and we're not sure how it would work with the War Rider. The old text on the card makes it sound like Kevin would get them back, but thankfully Gatherer is very clear that he would not. David then taps enough for Sigarda and goes to combat. He has to swing his tokens, and they go at me. I don't block and take the 2. David then plays out a Swiftfoot Boots, passing turn. I cast Soul Ring in my main phase, and then tap it for a Mind Stone. I then move to combat because I have to, and swing Muxus at Alex while the rest go at David. Alex blocks Muxus with a token, and David blocks a Lackey with Sigarda. Kardur sees these attacking creatures dying, and this has each of Kevin's opponents getting drained for 1. David also takes 6 from my attackers, and I pass to Alex. Alex plays an island for turn, and makes 3 mana to cast Estrid's Invocation. He has it come in as a copy of Dawn's Reflection, and it goes onto an island. He taps that land to help cast Unflinching Courage and enchants up his commander. He moves to combat, swinging everything he can at me. This has him drawing from Kestia's on-attack trigger, and I take a total of 8, with Kestia dealing 6 commander damage and gaining Alex 6 life. Kevin gets his upkeep trigger from the War Rider, and finally gives me the tokens, and I get 4. He then dashes out a Flame Rush Rider and goes to combat. He swings the War Rider at me and the rest at Alex, which triggers the Flame Rush Rider to make a token copy of Kardur. He then resolves a legendary rule, sacrificing the token, which is technically attacking. This has the original copy, draining us for 1. He also gets the Enter the Battlefield trigger, making everyone have to attack him again, and Alex and I both just take the hits. Kevin then passes through his phases, and at the end of Kevin's turn, he has to put back the Flame Rush Rider to his hand from the delayed dash trigger. David draws and goes to combat. Sigarda goes at Alex while the tokens go at me. I take 2, while Alex takes 5 commander damage. David then passes, and at the end of turn, I sacrifice my Mind Stone to draw a card, and then sacrifice the Buried Ruin to return 1000-Year Elixir to my hand. My turn has me playing a Snow-Covered Mountain, and I recast the Elixir in my main phase. I still have enough for Krenko, and tap him once he's out. I make 7 tokens, and have to attack. Muxus goes at Alex, while the rest go at David. Muxus is a 17/17 at this point, but before damage is dealt, David casts at instant speed Rout, paying the extra needed. Unfortunately for everyone but Kevin, Kardur sees all 10 of my creatures attacking die, which has us getting drained for 10 while he gains 10. I should note, David has Sigarda go to the graveyard, and I then pass to Alex. Alex plays a Plains, and plays out an Eidolon of Blossoms, drawing a card from its Constellation trigger as it enters. He then taps enough mana for Bruna, passing to Kevin. Kevin plays a Mountain for turn, and then just casts Sulfuric Vortex and passes to David. David takes 2 in his upkeep to the Vortex, and taps 7 for Bruna the Fading Light. This makes more sense as to why his Sigarda went to the graveyard, and he brings her back with Bruna's Enter the Battlefield trigger. He then passes to me. I take 2 to the Vortex on my upkeep, and draw. I play a Snow-Covered Mountain in my main phase, and tap 6 again for Krenko. I'm able to tap Krenko thanks to Elixir, and make 1 token, passing to Alex. Kevin cracks his Bauble in Alex's upkeep, and Alex takes 2 to the Vortex. He also gets his Estrid's Invocation trigger, and has it exile and come back as a copy of the Eidolon, drawing a card from it being the Eidolon entering, and the other Eidolons seeing it come in. He then draws for turn. He plays an island for turn, and then plays out a fertile ground onto it, drawing 2 from his Eidolon triggers. Alex then plays Arithmethy's Slumbering Isle, which comes in tapped with 5 slumber counters on it. Next up, Alex casts an Imperial Storm, which nets him an extra copy of the spell to make 2 4/4 Angel tokens with flying. He moves to combat, swinging Bruna and the original Eidolon at Kevin. He gets her on attack triggers, putting out Righteous Authority and Unflinching Courage. With the 2 enchantments entering, this has the Eidolons drawing Alex 4 more cards, further pumping Bruna thanks to the Righteous Authority. Kevin can't do anything but take the hit though, and drops to 13. Alex then passes, discarding down to 7. Kevin takes 2 from the Vortex on his upkeep, and draws. He taps enough to recast his commander, who upon entering, goads his opponents, and he passes turn. David takes 2 on his upkeep, and then casts the Blackblade Reforge. He equips it onto Sigarda, and then asks how big Sigarda's sister Bruna is. Bruna's way bigger, unfortunately, and David decides to go at me with both of his creatures sadly, because of Kardur making him have to attack. I get taken out unfortunately once they connect, and David then passes to Alex. Alex takes 2 from the Vortex and decides not to use Esprit's Invocation trigger. He draws instead from the Righteous Authority, and then for turn, and plays a Forest. 2 mana gets him Krufix's Insight, and he reveals his top 6 cards. He puts Soul Snare, Vow of Flight,
and Octopus Umbra
into hand. He then plays out Archetype of Imagination, which gives all of his stuff flying, and takes it away from everything else. He also draws 2 cards from the Eidolons, seeing the enchantment creature come in. He also then removes another counter from Arithmethy's, and uses a Dismantling Blow to take out the Vortex, because Alex wants to gain a bunch of life when Bruna connects. He has to attack, and swings the team at David whether he wants to or not. He then puts out Vow of Flight,
and Octopus Umbra
onto Bruna from her on-attack trigger, drawing 4 more cards from the Eidolon seeing these come into play. David is going to take 36 damage, 24 of which is from Alex's lifelinking Bruna, and David is very dead. Alex then passes, discarding down to 7, while Kevin is very enthusiastically tapping his deck to hopefully draw something good. Kevin draws, but it's not spot removal or a board wipe, so he scoops it up to Alex. Game review time. So unfortunately you didn't see many of the new cards from Kaldheim and onward, but you did get to see Muxus in action, and that was pretty sweet. I'm really not too sure how I got Fervor and Thousand Year Elixir confused, but here we are. Thankfully that 2 extra damage didn't make or break the game. I loved Kevin's Doomscourge deck. I think that's probably one of the most interesting Rakdos decks I've seen in a long time. The Forced Goad mechanic is fantastic, and the fact that it doesn't actually target the creatures but the player itself is extra strong. Hopefully we'll be able to get to see David's Sigarda deck again, because we didn't get to see too much of it this game. It seemed very much like some kind of Angel Tribal deck, but beyond that, I don't know. Congratulations go to Alex, who was playing the Precon without too many changes, and it worked out really well for him. He hasn't played a ton of EDH, but you wouldn't have known it based on how well he played his deck, so that was pretty sweet to see. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.